everyone. Thanks for watching the video. So today we're just going to be simply talking about the recent Marvel movies, and Venom 2 made its way in there, and I got a guest, Richard, whose socials will be in the description below, and I pre-recorded this, so let's just get over to the recording. I hope everyone enjoys, and again, thanks for watching. So let's just jump right into it. I guess you were saying you finally watched Internals there.
Oh, yes, it was a long time coming for that particular movie. I was putting it off forever because I knew it was going to be bad, and it was.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's you know me. I just like my thing. I'm very much pro everything. I definitely see the criticism of it. I did like most of the characters. Like the Icarus guy was a pretty badass character. And I liked how
Well,
he ended up
so,
being a villain basically by the end.
I mean, I don't mind. Certainly, the cast is fine, and we know many of them from Game of Thrones and everything there. And I don't know. It just felt very. I guess the word I used to describe it is sanctimonious. And
Yeah,
uh, and if you know the definition of that, it's making a show of being superior to other people or whatever. It just felt like, it's like, oh, we are the Eternals. We are so important, kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. It's like I felt they probably could have sprinkled it in, maybe, I don't know, within movies, kind of thing.
leading
Might have
up.
been better.
Yeah, leading up to it, I do definitely see what you're saying there. They definitely tried to make it like this is big, this is huge. They're the be all and end all. They're the saviors of the Earth before the Avengers and everything like that. Like countless issues they resolved and everything like that. And then there was those like aliens. I can't remember the name that were like. Well, I guess they weren't even aliens.
Celestials.
No, not the Celestials. The things that were like the Eternals were
Uh,
sent to eliminate.
oh, oh, I forget what they were called.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Uh,
talking, little like beast dog
yeah,
creature
those
thing things.
animals.
Yeah. And like they were the saviors of mankind. Without the Eternals there would be no mankind because they would all be eliminated. I definitely understand where you're coming from. I think it would have been better as a TV show. Ultimately, that was like the problem was is you're introducing the Eternals, you're introducing the Celestials, you're introducing the whatever the dog things are called, and then you're also like explaining what like 5,000 years of history or something like that, plus like a modern story which is going to be as important and stuff, and it was just kind of like a case of it being way too much, all within 2 hours.
And you got the Kit Harrington character, Jon Snow. Like he was just like a regular guy or whatever.
Yeah, and then
And,
like his is all set
but
up
he
and
was it,
everything.
and yeah, I definitely did the whole you know nothing Jon Snow kind of thing when
Yeah,
like because way beyond his understanding, but it seemed, I don't know, it seemed a little contrived.
yeah. I guess the other issue I had with it is like if you're gonna do a 2 hour movie explaining 5,000 years of history, while also explaining like the main story that they're trying to tell, they also had so many characters that it was just hard to like. A lot of the characters that you wanted like that
Mhm.
had like emotional moments, so it just failed
Mhm.
because you couldn't be invested in them. Like the one guy who like gave humans technology or whatever, and then like in the World War II scene there, you see him like in Japan, and he's all like, "What have they done? I did all of this for them, and they bombed Japan and everything, and like f humanity and everything like that for doing that." But then like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was supposed to be like emotionally destroyed by that, but like I didn't care. I've seen the guy for maybe like half an hour before that, you know.
Yeah, I found some of the things a little like confusing and hard to follow, like and the acting was kind of weird with some of the characters.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I did like the some of the characters were really good. Can't remember. I can't pronounce his name for the life of me. Buddy who was in we were just talking about Silicon Valley and um,
Oh, Mel Nanjiani.
yeah, his character was awesome. I mean, he just played his same character, but he was a superhero, right?
Oh yeah, and he got ripped for that role and everything like that.
Yeah,
Do
and
you, hey, you remember I always harped on it's like, oh, it has the first gay kiss. I must have missed it when I watched it. I didn't see any
yeah,
like
well, that's probably part of the problem is there's just too much going on that it's just hard to.
yeah.
It's easy to miss things, right? Like, see, I've seen it in theaters and I haven't watched it since, and that was like back in November, and it's like what, like almost June now, like May 28th as of now. So I'm not just going off like memory and stuff. I will say like what did you like about the movie? I know we just spent the whole time shitting about it, but there is some good stuff.
Well, one thing I mean, it's glad that they got it out the door. Like, okay, we have it. This is explained kind of thing. So now it at least lays a groundwork um, that you can sort of build around a little more kind of thing,
Yeah,
and other things into the history. So I
yeah,
didn't mind it in that respect.
yeah. Just kind of like get it out of the way. Now they don't need if Eternals 2 actually happens, which I assume it will, because Marvel's Marvel, and even if the movie wasn't as successful critically, they'll just make it anyway, and they'll just have new directors and a new vision and everything. But regardless, like
A white vision.
yes. um, the whole movie itself was just a little. I think there's a lot of potential for future movies, basically, like because now you don't need to explain the like 5,000 years on what they were doing and why they weren't around and everything. So now you can just focus on the here and now and maybe have a couple of drawbacks to the past and everything, right? But not have it as predominant as it was in the movie, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
and like
and
the animations of the Celestials, like the scope and everything of them, like when that one guy came outside of Earth and everything, that was like I really liked the animations and the like size and everything. I thought that was really good because obviously like,
yeah, they had a unique look to it
hmm
that like almost a stringy kind of look to it. I don't know if they're trying to like do the whole string theory kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like everything has its like tendrils and
yeah, yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. I would be interested like. The entire time, every time I seen or they referenced the Celestial, the only thing that came to my mind was Galactus, you know, and like now I was
oh
like picturing Galactus, right?
yeah, I mean Galactus. I mean, is that the uh, ultimate you know point that the MCU will eventually come to?
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is like the seeds of Galactus, basically, right? Where like maybe everything else going on in the MCU is like multiverses and stuff. The Eternals is essentially setting up like uh, the end game, no pun intended, with Galactus, basically.
I was trying to avoid using it earlier too.
Yeah, but no, it kind of works that way because like it's kind of similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy. They came out in Phase 2, and then you didn't even see them, and they didn't interact until Part 2, until Infinity War and Endgame, right? So now you do like the Eternals can just miss the whole multiverse storyline that they're doing, and that when they conclude the multiverse storyline, then you start doing the Galactus stuff, and then boom, there's your Eternals. You already have some groundwork established for that, right, through the Eternal. So, like, maybe they were being a little too ambitious now, but yeah, I don't know. I can see some good things coming as a result of that. And at the after credit scene there with I don't remember his name, but Kit Harrington's character, he grabs the sword or whatever, and you hear an offhanded person coming in the background being like, "Hey, you might not want to do that" or some shit. I can't remember what he said, but one of the things that I always thought that was just Fury, and that was Samuel Jackson. But it turns out, according to the internet, that was Blade, and that was what's his name? Who's cast as Blade?
Oh, I don't know the name of the actor.
Yeah, he's in like Luke Cage on Netflix.
Yeah,
Mahershala something.
yeah. I remember he played
Cottonmouth, or was that?
Cottonmouth
Yeah.
and the whole Snake Gang. I remember that from the.
Yeah, so apparently that was technically the
Sure.
introduction of Blade.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was Samuel's, like, and it kind of made sense. Like, oh, okay, there's Fury, right? But I
Interesting if they do some multiverse stuff and have Wesley Snipes come back.
I mean, that'd be kind of weird thing because you're introducing a character, but maybe that's the perfect way to introduce him. It's like a passing of the torch kind of thing right out the gate. You do some multiverse stuff, and you have Wesley introduce basically Mahershala, and then boom, now you have the new Blade or whatever.
Hey, why not?
Yeah, why not? All right, so let's. I think it's time to move on. What else did you? You said you watched the Venom. Oh,
Love and Thunder, because you mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy, and I saw the newer trailer for that with Natalie Portman and everything like that.
yeah, that trailer was good, and Christian Bale
Yeah,
as Grodd or whatever his name is.
yeah, no, that's looking very, very good. Yeah, Christian Bale and first comic book movie since Batman.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm actually really interested in the premise of that movie because he just thinks all gods need to die, and like through Moon Knight, we had that discussion a few weeks ago where like now the door's open with gods, right? So now you have a god killer, right? So it's not necessarily like who knows what else you can do as like setup to that, right? Maybe he doesn't kill just as North, like as Guardians. Maybe you see him starting killing like, Greek gods, and then like the idea is like endless there, right?
Oh well, yeah, that's one thing I with the Eternals. Something was like Olympia or whatever, and I'm like, that sounds like Greek, but is that different from the Greek god things? It's like,
Yeah, well, there is
I mean,
like Hercules is a Marvel character in the comic book, so they can definitely go that
oh yeah,
route,
no, I'm
right?
aware of that, but
Yeah.
like I know like they reference a few things and like oh the Icarus flew to uh,
Yeah.
close to the sun and all that.
Yeah, and then at the
The,
end he dies by flying into the sun. That's kind of lame, but whatever. I guess fitting. I actually the big thing I always thought with the new Thor movie was that was going to be a different Jane Foster from a multiverse, but in that trailer, two things were introduced. Were taught like her hammer is the hammer that was repaired, well, that Hela broke in Thor Ragnarok, and that you
yeah.
see in Endgame that Cap was using and everything, and you see Cap take it going into like the to return all the stones, and then you see old Cap, but you never knew what happened to the other hammer, right? So I guess
Mm-hmm.
somewhere Cap gave it to either he dropped it or he like straight up gave it to Jane, right? And then it's also not a multiverse Jane, it's like Jane,
No,
right?
but isn't that a different hammer?
I don't know because it's definitely the
Eh,
same Jane though. It's the same
oh,
Jane from Thor 1 and
but
2, right?
the one in this universe, it's Mjolnir's shattered pieces come back together, and that other Mjolnir was just from another timeline.
Is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I
So
do know I don't know about the
two,
Mjolnir, but
there's two Mjolnirs in the
MCU.
multiverse.
Yeah, because then there's the like whatever the hell Thor has, the Rock Breaker, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that Peter Dinklage made him.
Yeah, and then there's I do know the big thing I always thought was that Jane Foster was gonna be like a different Jane from a multiverse, not the same Jane from Thor 1 and 2. And they introduce, then they say in the trailer, hey, it's been how many years? And then like Thor knows the exact date and everything because he's all
Oh
like,
yeah, and yeah, they like timed it. It's like the exact. It's pretty much since the Dark World. It's almost exactly that amount of time.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you,
like 6 years,
well,
12 years, 18 hours, yeah.
actually, to be honest with you, like I remember earlier on, they introduced the idea of a Lady Thor in the comic books while the MCU is still going on, and I remember learning it's Jane Foster, and I'm like, oh, okay. So then Natalie Portman will play her. Like I remember that very early on, and like just being if they ever did that, that's what they would do. And sure enough, that's exactly
Do you
what's come
know
to fruition.
how or why Jane Foster becomes Thor? It's like I remember looking that
I
up a few years
I do
ago.
not know at all. I just like looked up like the synopsis and everything. It's like, oh, okay, the Lady Thor is Jane Foster, so that's and yeah, the knowledge I have of Thor is from the Thor movies,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't have any
So yeah, I was looking it
experience. But
up,
yeah,
and
I just like
in the
tied some things
comics,
together.
it's actually like she's about to die because she got cancer, and in like a desperation, she sees Mjolnir and she picks up Mjolnir, and because her heart's pure gold, it transforms her to Thor, which is
Pure
pretty.
gold,
Oh, like the gimmick that she can actually lift it, right? And that
like
trans
pure heart.
pure of heart, yeah.
I
um,
mean, if it was pure gold, then you'd just be dead.
yeah, it's pure heart. She has a pure heart, and that transforms her to Thor, which is interesting because it's like, well, then did Cap transform to Thor technically? Like, what are the rules,
well,
right?
well, yeah, he who
He who
yeah,
wields
and
it will
does I
gain the
mean does
powers.
did Vision?
I guess. By that logic, like, yeah, you go back to Thor 1 when they introduced the actual rules of it, and that's the whole point of the first Thor movie was that he wasn't able to pick it because he wasn't worthy, but, like, he who's worthy gains the powers of Thor. So by that logic, like, and you do see Cap in Endgame using, like, lightning and stuff,
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I
Yeah.
definitely think he gained the power of it definitely beefed him up.
Yeah, definitely beefed him up. So I guess he was like super Cap at that point. I never really thought of that before. I just like okay, he had control of the hammer, and then he was just had some lightning ability. But no, I guess that would affect everything from his strength and everything. And yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah, we'll see. That's Thor. Not much left to say there. Do you got anything else to say about Thor before we? I guess we can go into Venom 2.
Oh, Venom 2, or yeah, we can maybe talk about the other shows like She-Hulk and stuff coming up. But yeah, might as well go into Venom 2 because that's another one. I just was doing a like a like Spitfire since I signed up to Disney Plus and Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
Whatever they have them on there, we'll just give them a watch. It's easier to watch when you can just throw them on the TV, kind of thing.
yeah, for sure.
And
So yeah, you said you weren't a big fan of Venom 2 though, again.
I mean, the problem is like when it comes right down to it, it's got to have Spider-Man. Like I don't think you can have it true Venom story without the origins being tied to Spider-Man, and it can only I mean, they can make them as good as they did. Like, I mean, they're fine. They're entertaining. I enjoyed Woody Harrelson's portrayal of Cletus Cassidy uh, and everything like that. Matt, or what's the actor?
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. I was gonna say Matt Hardy.
There's some wrestling references.
Yeah, Tom. Yeah, like yeah, he's good in it, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of it was. I liked it more than Eternals. I can tell you that much. Like it was actually, enjoyable to watch. But there's always that sinking pit in my stomach. It's like I can't do this to Spider-Man. Like I can't.
I definitely
I,
understand. I don't know when it comes, even as great as like No Way Home was, and that was like, there's something about Spider-Man on screen, and maybe it's just because of the video games and like the animated series on Fox. I have a certain expectation that like if you're doing a Spider-Man and like you need him swinging in the city, you need like Oscorp, you need this, you need that, you need this. It needs to be a Spider-Man world in the Marvel universe, not Spider-Man within the Marvel universe, if that makes any sense. And that includes the Venom stuff. It's essentially Spider-Man lore without Spider-Man, but it doesn't feel like Spider-Man lore. Like, and that's in every way, shape, and form. And they're like doing all these other movies. I will skip Morbius talk because you haven't seen it yet, but it's the same thing. It just feels like a random movie about a character that's more named Morbius, but it doesn't feel like Spider-Man's in Morbius, and that's just my issue with
I
any.
need plasma.
Yeah,
I
and
need plasma.
yeah, freaking the
Movie.
animated series. Yeah. Um, this
Poor
will.
Jared Leto. Poor Jared Leto. He can't catch a break in the comic book movies.
Yeah,
Like
there's that
he's
little like meme where it's like it's
thinker
that whole
after
like Darth
thinker.
Maul with the dual lightsabers, and he's like the worst comic book actor or
Yeah.
something like that. It's like Joker's on one side, and then call it Morbius is on the other side. I don't know. Quickly about Morbius, I will mention it's like I wouldn't say it's horrible. I would just say it's like a early 2000s movie akin to like not one of the big blockbusters, just like a very basic origin movie with vampires, and it was like mixed. It's like Superman Buffy basically, or superhero Buffy.
I don't know. It's like with Morbius, I feel like
You got
you
like
need to have like Blade
I don't know. It's just Morbius was
and
like if you're talking about ranking A-list villains and B-list villains and Spider-Man's lore
oh,
and stuff,
Morbius
like
is just stinks.
yeah,
Like,
he's like you got to say like Morbius in general. He's
get
like
it
not
up.
even B-list. He's maybe C-list. He's not like maybe Scorpion is like C-list, and then B-list would be like I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would prefer a Craven movie.
Yeah, Craven is probably. Yeah, I think that's actually coming out too. And they're just like they're going all over the place with this Venom universe, and they do seem to have a plan going forward with that. But like I don't know if the plan will actually
Just
execute. It's just
stringing along the property.
yeah, that's what it basically they're doing. Like I don't know, it's just here's this, here's this, here's this, but like let's have every single Spider-Man character to have their own movie when it's kind of unnecessary, and then do some sort of crossovery stuff with one of the Spider-Man. Hopefully, I don't know what they're planning if they'll ever do the Spider-Man stuff, but yeah, I guess yeah. Like I don't know, Venom 2 though. Like my biggest issue with Venom 2 was just like I liked the animation. I liked how the fights you can actually see them in their costumes fighting. There wasn't smoke every single action scene like there was in the first one. But my biggest
Mm.
issue is like, did you care about the love interest of Carnage? It ended up just overshadowing the movie, in my opinion, and it was
Oh, the shouty girl.
yeah, she was
Um,
just kind of
I'm,
there. Oh,
it was fine.
Sorry about the beeping. Don't worry about it.
I mean, it was believable as any other as you could be in that sort of given what they got and the time and everything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like I remember like the way I see it. I saw it on a Saturday night in VIP theater and had a couple beers and everything, and that was like it was more about the experience that I enjoyed rather than the actual movie. But like, I don't know. I think the overall Venomverse or however you want to call it, it lacks actual like vision of what they're doing, why they're doing it, and for the more obvious reason of just like milking money because of the popularity of the superhero genre. Like I don't know, I that's just the way I feel, and I feel like more. I was actually watching a video, and this may be a perfect transition into maybe talking about some of the other things and like
Well,
upcoming things.
what about the after credits
Oh,
scene?
Venom! What happened again in that?
Well, he got like transported to another.
Oh yeah, but that was like you seen that was also explained and like it was almost like a tease. Like everyone was
Yeah,
like, "Oh shit, man, he's gonna be in the next Spider-Man. No Way Home is gonna have Tom Hardy." And I guess he was in No Way Home. You can't say he wasn't in No Way Home. But then like he never even interacted with anybody. It's just like an after credit scene within No Way Home that like has a
yeah,
small little like him in the bar and then he just gets teleported back. So that
yeah.
like
What
entire
was the
after
point?
credit, yeah, what was the point? It was just like false
Just to
hype.
string us along.
Yeah, just string us along and I don't know, that's like well I guess what the point was is, if my memory serves me correctly at the end of No Way Home a little piece of the symbiote was left behind. So it implies that the symbiote now exists within the MCU.
Yeah, I think I remember something like that.
So
But
yeah, basically you'll have Tom Tom Holland Spider Man become symbiote Spider Man, or at least you can do that option now. But it was basically it benefited Marvel, but it didn't benefit Sony doing what they did, excluding like the hype of marketing and all that kind of stuff, right? Like there was no actual payoff for Tom Hardy to see Spider-Man and stuff, but now you get symbiote Spider-Man in the MCU, which everybody wants, right? And then I guess from there you can do like with the multiverses like their
well,
own
I just
different.
think it's kind of ruined.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really.
It's definitely not good, and I don't know. The Venomverse just needs. They just, I don't know. They need, I hear a lot of one of the biggest people saying is after No Way Home is to get Andrew Garfield in there, and just based on the description of how he like was saying he stopped pulling his punches and he got a little darker after the death of Gwen Stacy and Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's a perfect character for the because the Venomverse is supposed to be more like edgy and darker than the MCU, right? So like, just give us just reboot the Amazing Spider-Man series within the Venomverse, right? And everything will work itself out. I think like
I
I would
mean,
love to
I
see
wouldn't be
that.
opposed to that. Like that would, I think that would be like if you tie those two in together, then it would feel like yeah, like
A more continuity.
a
Like I don't know.
time.
There would be a reason, and then you can just have like I think there was this big complaint. Who was it about? It was about was it Batman. It was Batman where you had the new Batman who was played by Buddy from the vampire movies there, and then you also had announced that yeah, but then you also had like Ben Affleck and whatchamacallit announced and who was the other one? One of the old school Batmans announced for the Flash movie, and this has been the very first time.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's reprising his role as Batman. Then Ben Affleck is reprising his role as Batman, and then you also have the new Batman. So this is the first time there's been like more than one Batman actor live action who's coming out, and like um, why not, like let's go, why can't you have two different Spider-Mans? Like you can have Tom Holland be the Marvel Spider-Man, and you can have Andrew Garfield be the Sony Spider-Man, right? And go nuts, right? Like no one's gonna get confused, right? Hell, if you want to be confused, they threw that out a long time ago when with these Marvel movies now requiring like especially with the Disney Plus now, that's like take the new Doctor Strange. How much shit do you need to watch to understand Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? You need like everything. A casual viewer has never seen a Marvel movie. They're gonna be lost completely, right? Like you need to know
Oh yeah,
WandaVision. You
definitely.
need to watch WandaVision. You need to watch Doctor Strange 1, Infinity War, Endgame. Like that's at least four different things, right? And it's pretty intense, right?
And yeah, speaking of the multiverse of madness and everything like that, and the different Batmans and Spider-Man, do you think like one day, maybe not even in our lifetime, they'll ever have a movie where Marvel and DC, because they did it in the comics.
I don't know. I would say it's one of those things that like it would benefit Warner for sure. It would definitely benefit the Warner Brothers and because they're the ones with the Disney thing, because it's like the Disney the DC franchise in general. The movies are just like sure Batman was great. Don't get me wrong, but like their initial ambition for it, like there's no reason why a successful DCEU couldn't work besides backstage politics interfering and certain creative decisions, right? But like as of now, like they're still gonna pump out these DC movies, but like DC will never get back to what it once was, and in at least in the cinemas, right? In my opinion, and you'll never have that. Like the success of Marvel will DC will never be able to replicate that on a movie franchise, and they have all the reason to. So like I guess if Marvel wanted to, and DC would be fools to say no. I think the ball's in Marvel's court though, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like that's like way far into any foreseeable future.
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh,
You go back 2 years ago, 3 years ago, would you ever imagine like having three Spider-Mans all reprise their roles other
well,
than
yeah,
just a
that's
wish?
exactly what I mean. Like, could it ever? I mean, I think anything's possible, man. Like,
Oh yeah,
why the
for
heck?
sure. And they got to get like super creative now. Hell, you had Patrick Stewart saying, "Hey, during Logan, this is my last time as Xavier. I'm done as Xavier." And I mind you, it was more than a cameo than anything, but never say never, right?
The best part of the movie,
Oh yeah, for sure.
that that one little musical thing.
Oh yeah, and just the piano was so beautiful, and actually perfect transition to like talking about Disney Plus, we're talking about X Men. They're like reprising the X Men and like the X Men show, and they're giving a proper follow up and stuff, and that should be amazing stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that you just
X
triggered my memory.
yeah X Men '97. I'm pretty stoked for that. I think that has a lot of potential to be great, man. Like I wish the sky's the limit now with Disney Plus, and like maybe you bring back Spider Man. You give us like a proper like season, one more season of Spider Man. They did it with the Clone Wars show, right? Like let's see some like more stuff, and the demand is
Oh
there.
yeah, when I heard when they announced that the X Men,
Yeah, I think it's just simply called X Men
they
'97.
announced this whatever Spider Man thing. It's like they should have like had
Oh
X Men '97 and like Spider Man '95 or whatever.
yeah, I agree. Instead of just like here's a completely new Spider-Man show, there's so many Spider-Man shows. I think like the most recent one that had like not the best animation. I can't remember what it's called. I did watch all of it, but like it got really they just I guess ended it without any conclusion or anything, and then the episodes got to the point where there was like instead of having one episode a week, maybe once a month they would have like a hour and a half long episode of one story arc, and then that's it, and then
Oh,
it
I
would
don't even
yeah.
pay attention to a lot of it. Oh, but one thing, when's did the Harley Quinn season 3 ever come out?
No, that hasn't been out yet. I think that's coming out. I think there's a trailer
Okay.
to it. Now
Yeah.
that's a good show for
Well,
sure.
oh, I love that show. Once I started getting into it, but yeah, I know there was some controversy there, but it's probably COVID and everything that's just been keeping it held up.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
they announced it September 18th, 2020, and I guess their release window is I don't know, according to some random direct.com. Take it for what it's worth. According to at one point, blah blah blah. Just give me the damn window. Okay. Um, it's looking like. Oh, he's not allowed to tell. What a clickbait article. Um, apparently
oh,
season. Okay. Never mind. It says confirming that Harley Quinn season 3 will premiere on HBO Max in summer 2022. So like within the next couple of months, which just like man, just talk about nuts with TV shows and movies. It's impossible to keep up with them right now. They all decided to come out all at once. Like Stranger Things, Obi-Wan, The Boys is next week. I think
the
like you
boys
have
are back in town.
yeah, Orville if you watch that is
Another reason
Wednesday.
why I'm glad I have Amazon Prime.
11 Days is Miss Marvel. Like
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely check that out as well. I mean, you gotta.
yeah, that's just it, right? That literally has a movie coming out after that, The Marvels instead of Captain
With
Marvel
Kamala
2.
Harris,
Yeah, and
the Vice President.
yes, I don't know what I think about. I think a lot of these like newer project characters that they're doing, um, the biggest issue is they make a character and they don't make a world. And what I mean by that is like, sure, everyone knows Miss Marvel by now. She's probably one of the more popular modern day superheroes that weren't created like 20 to 50 years ago, right? But like, can you name one Miss Marvel villain? Like, can you like other than the fact that she's a fan and she's stretchy, which the show is not making her stretchy?
Rogue from the X Men.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's Miss Marvel.
Something I still say that would be so like beautiful if they could somehow introduce that plot.
Oh yeah. So you're
Uh,
talking about Captain Marvel. Yeah, I'm talking about like stretchy Miss Marvel. Yeah, if they like had they introduced once they introduced X Men, they write off freaking. Well, they don't even need to write off. They just have Rogue absorb Captain
Carol
Marvel's
Danvers.
yeah Carol Danvers powers, and like these movies come out like so often, but at the same time, so it takes years where you can easily have Captain Marvel's powers being absorbed and then have her go in a coma, and then a year or two later she wakes out of the coma because that's just the next time they come out with a movie, right? There's no reason why they can't do that, right?
Oh yeah, no, I think that would be a beautiful tie-in.
Yeah, I think they
If it,
almost have to because it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least within that show, that's the reason why Rogue can fly is because of
oh, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
Rogue's whole deal.
yeah, and if they were like, I don't know, I think the X Men series was so popular that like any other version of any of the characters, they all got to kind of go back to that. So like you take Rogue at the in the X Men movies there, and Rogue was just there kind of thing. She was the eyes for the viewers, right? That was her entire character. She was the new student who's unfamiliar with the world like we are as the viewer, and that was the only purpose she played was to introduce everybody to that. But the second you knew X-Men 2 and 3, she didn't really do much in the corresponding movies. And then even in what's that the good X-Men movie there with like their Avengers, what's that called? Days of Future Past. I think if my memory serves me correctly, she filmed the movie, but then they like she didn't make the final cut in like the movies, but they have like an
Yeah.
extended edition with her. But even then, it's only like a 5 minute thing where she basically like takes over for Kitty Pryde and does the same thing that Kitty, like basically she touches Kitty, gets Kitty's powers, and then does the thing with Wolverine, and that's about it, right? Like I don't remember quite, but it's something along those lines where like Rogue in the movies they just after you're introduced to the X-Men, they stopped caring, and I think a part of it is just because that Rogue is not the Rogue that everybody wanted, right? Rogue is supposed to be the like Southern Belle, like who flies,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah,
Sugar.
yeah. If you change that, it's like actually, Gambit. Say what you want
Rogue.
about Wolverine Origins, that Gambit was amazing, and uh, I really like that Gambit, and I'm so happy that that Channing Tatum movie never came out because honestly, I just don't picture Channing Tatum as a good Gambit, just build wise.
I mean, like, yeah, well, obviously Origins is one of those ones that gets swept under the rug for so many different reasons. But I like to see any of Gambit because Gambit's like one of my favorite characters,
Yeah,
and
which I really
so
wonder
yeah,
what they're gonna do.
I didn't dislike him in there. I liked that there he was in there at all. So that there was in some capacity, but yeah, they've never done him any justice since then.
Yeah, and then that movie gets shadowed by so much hate that people just kind of like forget about that Gambit. I believe if I can't remember, I gotta look this up. I remember finding out later that like the actor who plays um, Gambit is like he went on to do something. I don't remember what exactly, but it was something pretty epic or whatever. Trying to look this up now. Movie came out in 2009. Wow, Wolverine Origins came out the same year I think Marvel started. I'm looking this up, But yeah, with all this multiverse stuff, and I find one thing that's interesting is like you're getting the Oscorp, even though, but it also confirms that Oscorp has not been in the MCU. Uncle Ben was not in the MCU because Uncle Ben was in the like they would have addressed that, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and now what do you do with like now they introduced the X Men, and technically we, if anything, in Wolverine and Doctor Strange was our very first mutant in the MCU, and that was Patrick Stewart, right? Like, to mine, unless you count like Wanda or like Quicksilver and stuff, but they're technically not mutants within the MCU unless they like. Didn't they say in WandaVision that she already had the powers and it wasn't an experiment, so maybe she was a mutant? I don't know. It's like really complicated stuff. Um,
Yeah, I mean they're doing a decent job in uh, keeping it somewhat like clean and explaining themselves.
yeah,
So
just how do you introduce the mutants? Especially, there's always been that question, and I feel a lot of people. Yes, I know. Sorry, just to quickly sidetrack. The reason I know the Gambit is he's from a show, Friday Night Lights. It's one of the more popular, one of the biggest characters in that show. It's a football show, but yeah. And then he was in a whole bunch of TV shows, but nothing really big other than Friday Night Lights, and that's about it. True Detective, yeah. So whatever. But yeah, back on to that discussion there. I don't know how you introduce. I always felt that was your perfect time. You fucked up the multiverse so much, and I guess they can still fuck up the multiverse so much that it changes certain things. And if they just try to fucking say, "Hey, the mutants were here all along," I would hate that shit.
and you got Brian Cranston. Oh, not Brian Cranston.
It's gonna cook you some meth.
I don't know. Yeah, I wonder what he would play in if he was ever introduced into the
Yeah, see,
MC.
his character, I don't know. I feel like Brian Cranston, you know him. Everyone knows him from one of two things, right? And say what you want about Malcolm in the Middle. His biggest role has always been Breaking Bad, right? And
Oh, of course, it's definitely iconic Heisenberg, and
yeah, man.
I think
So like,
he would be the thing,
I think that would
and
be a
he would
good
be
choice. A good choice for sure. I would like that. And especially because like it's like obviously he would be a character that would be more CGI based, and hopefully they don't do some stupid
And
bullshit where he can turn it off and on.
he would be made out of meth rocks.
Yes. But yeah, he needs to be actually. What about seriously? What about him as Doctor Doom?
Well, he'd need to have an accent.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess that's the one big thing with Doom is he would need an accent. I never like thought of that aspect. I'm just thinking of like who would like Bryan Cranston's best character is a meth dealer, right? And he's like he becomes very like he's in within Breaking Bad. He's like there's still like logic behind everything he does, and he's not at the start. He's not a
Oh,
bad person, and he becomes a bad person as he deals more and more and more, right? But in episode one, he's just a chemistry teacher who knows chemistry, right? And he's just doing it for his family because he's gonna die, right? So like, there's some logic behind there, some justification, if you will. And Doctor Doom's always been that. He's not necessarily inherently evil. He's just doing what he can because he's doing what he needs to do for Latveria, right? And of course, I know Stan Lee once said it's like, hey, there's technically no law that says you can't take over the world. So he's not technically breaking any laws by trying to take over the world.
no, absolutely. Well, but in regards to um, like Reed Richards and
Yeah, it's a
and
slippery slope. I mean, do you do what do you do the thing everybody wants, well the fan base, or do you do somebody else, right? I think after you introduce that, no matter what they do, it's gonna piss people off if they don't cast Buddy, right?
oh yeah, John Krasinski. Like I mean, he's played him once now, and you were saying before it was
Yeah,
they
who is this supposed to be? There.
they're eyeing Bond.
No, no, no. It's not that they were eyeing Bond. It's that that was what they were going to do in Doctor Strange. They were going to have Daniel Craig as Mister Fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah, and that was their first choice. And I don't know what
oh,
happened behind the stage, but whatever happened happened, and obviously he rejected it. He couldn't make it. I don't know what happened, but that's why we have John Krasinski. I can't pronounce that name properly.
well, I think we also have John Krasinski because of the internet too.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's basically, hey, we want Bond. Oh, we can't get Bond. Well, who else? Well, there is demand for this guy. Okay, let's go this route, right? I know a lot of people criticize that one scene about like everything with just the amount of fan service and how too much fan service is a bad thing.
No, that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was the best part of the movie too. Also
Yeah.
like Black Bolt, it's the same actor, Anson Mount, who was in that really shitty Inhuman series. He reprised his role, but
Yeah.
he put on the full
Yeah.
costume, and it wasn't just like a leather thing. And it was actually pretty interesting because there's that new Star Trek: Strange New Worlds where Anson Mount plays Pike, came out the same week as Doctor Strange. So it was like timing for
Wanda just
everything.
fucks all of them up. It's so
Yeah, yeah, and
funny.
I love how it's just not even technically like it's Wanda, but it's like she's what's it called, daywalking or whatever the hell they're called. They called it.
Oh yeah, the yeah where she takes over the
Yeah, that versions
Wanda
of
in that
Wanda.
universe.
Yeah, and then just like knows how to do her powers and stuff. But like, yeah, it's pretty awesome. And yeah, I don't know. I really like the Wanda character, and I'm just my ultimate feelings about Doctor Strange comes down to they kind of like did her dirty, and it comes off as very Daenerys like where at the end of WandaVision she's like, yeah, I fucked up. I know you guys hate me, but whatever. I had to do what I had to do, and I get it. What I did was wrong. I'll go hide myself now, and then like boom, now I got the Darkhold, and now I'm a dick basically for no reason actually, and it definitely kind of annoyed me that they did that way, and then she like her entire focus is about the kids and like, well, Vision can go f himself. Why would she want to try to find a universe where it's like Vision and the kids? You know, they don't even like barely even reference Vision, and then she just like again she comes to a realization what she's doing is wrong, and then she just like seemingly sacrifice herself. And it's like, unless like the upcoming Agatha show brings her back or
It
somehow
was
she lived.
Agatha all along.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely just think that was a pretty weak ending to Wanda. If that's what we get. But it's one of those cases, if Wanda ended up living, maybe I can forgive that aspect of that movie. I did like her as a villain. I just don't like the conclusion of that, right? And the build of that, where she goes from learning what she's doing is wrong to straight heel turn. Off screen, basically, you know?
I mean, but at the same time, I mean, like if you, it really depends on how you analyze and take in WandaVision itself. Like it's not like she necessarily like redeemed herself at the end of that. She was already on a trajectory downward.
Yeah, absolutely. I get that. But then she kind of like,
So I mean, I didn't mind it so much.
I guess I didn't like the idea of like, here's an Avenger, and whose her entire life has been shitty, or from like losing her parents to losing her like brother to losing her lover to losing her kids to just dying. So she gets no. Now you look at Captain America, who's a man at a time, who does what is right thing, and his ultimate thing is, well, he goes back to either a multiverse, or who knows where he goes back. That doesn't matter. But he ends up with Peggy at the end of the day. So he gets this happy conclusion. Iron Man, despite sacrificing himself, he like still has a family, has a daughter, and everything. He gets maybe not a happier ending than Cap, but he still gets some closure, right? That's like good, right? Every character who gets written off, who's been an Avenger, basically gets some sort of closure, right? And Wanda's just like, eh.
Yeah, definitely. I get what you mean because it seems like okay, she was evil and bad, and now she's dead.
Yeah, basically, and there's no like, and then at the end she just quickly a quick like, oh, I'm not dead, or like, oh, that what I'm doing is wrong.
No, everything I've
Time
been
to,
doing is pretty shitty. Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna stop now and
But
kill
like
myself.
she learned that from WandaVision, so now she just relearns the same lesson that she learned in WandaVision, and I guess that's what I just didn't like about it, is that I felt like you went in circles, right? And
Well, I mean, I think the biggest problem was like not having any of like vision, and I don't know. It seemed it's 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 probably one of those scenarios where it's with the director like having their vision and coming in.
yeah,
They have
I don't know.
this vague whatever outline of how they want it to go, and I don't know. It's just
It was dumb.
maybe it could have been done better, but I mean it. I certainly don't like hate the movie, but yeah, I definitely have a bad aftertaste for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe. Like, I think that movie is a better than Eternals. I probably liked it better than Black Widow. Um, I think I liked Shang Chi a little bit more. I thought Shang Chi was really interesting, but Doctor Strange. I guess my biggest issue with Doctor Strange. It's not a bad movie. It's just it's not what my expectations were. Right. I think that movie was supposed to be on par with No Way Home, and it didn't. And it was far from being on par with No Way
It
Home.
was
Like,
far from home.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was just there was aspects of that movie that I just didn't really care for, and like multiverse of madness, and they just go to two other multiverses, and I guess they had a
No, I
montage
definitely
where,
agree. Yeah, it's
and then it just ends so randomly, and it's like, okay, sure. Well, the Darkhold still has control over him, and it's like, okay. And then like the after credits, like, hey, let's go do this again. All right. Like, I don't know. I just
And there's there's different Darkholds in the different universe, but only one of the anti-Darkholds
yeah,
can
whatever
like
the book of shit,
listen.
Shishanti or whatever it's called. Yeah, and then like it's simply just it's so epic because there's only one of them, but and it's like in a world between worlds and shit like that. And then the only big thing about the like one little quick little spell that Wanda does and it just destroys the book. Like what really? Like yeah, I don't know. I just the
Well, it's just
execution of that movie.
MacGuffin after MacGuffin after MacGuffin.
You know what my actually my one of my bigger issues with that movie is the character of Mordor at the end of Doctor Strange 1. It's like you see the after credits him, he's no too many sorcerers or whatever, and he's going around and he's taking the magic away from them. And then they kind of basically explain it when they were like when they go to that universe's uh, place where Doctor Strange is, and he's like, "Oh shit, it's Mordor. He's my arch rival. He's makes my life a living hell, basically." So the entire after credit scene of that movie was of Doctor Strange 1 was off screen, and that kind of annoys me. Like, really, off screen? You couldn't have shown some more. Like, I don't know. It was just like well, that was the video. I know it kind of cuts off randomly at the end, a little bit messy. First video I made, so definitely got the learning curve, but get used to things and get better. So what'd you think about my conversation there with Richard? I would like to thank Richard for joining in the conversation. And yeah, so more videos like that to come. Please like and subscribe below. And thanks for watching and have a good day, everyone.